Now you listen to me. All three of you. You're meddling in things that ought not to be meddled in.
The history of the wizarding world is a long and complicated one, so it's no wonder that all of Professor Bin's students would fall asleep in class. But at the same time, it's interesting to think about how everything aligned for Harry to get his famous lightning scar on that Halloween night. Plus, those events are a little more interesting than, say, the International Warlock Convention of 1289. From the founding of Hogwarts to Lily Evan falling in love with James Potter, so many things had to happen to create the story that we all know and love. We won't be able to cover every little detail in this little impromptu History of Magic class, but it's time to review.
Turn to page 394.
To start, let's go to the very start. No, not the Land Before Time.
The what?
But to the founding of Hogwarts. In 990 BCE, four friends, Godric Gryffindor, Helga Hufflepuff, Rowena Ravenclaw, and Salazar Slytherin, came together to make the best school for young witches and wizards to learn magic. Just like the Sorting Hat sings about it at the start of every year, each founder had their own ideals that they felt were important and wished for their students to strive for.
Ha! Another Weasley.
Godric had bravery, Helga had loyalty, Rowena had cunning, and Salazar had ambition. With those traits in mind, each founder created their own house and began setting up the castle. During that time, Salazar decided to make a nice little home for his pet basilisk, the one he left behind when he got into a fight with the other founders about teaching Muggleborns, the one in the Chamber of Secrets. Yeah, turns out it wasn't the best place to leave the dangerous pet, but seeing as how he was a blood purist, the death of Muggleborns might have been exactly what he wanted. Jumping forward almost 1,000 years now, we get to see one of the most tragic moments on this list, which is only fitting considering Ariana Dumbledore's life.
Bloody fools. What were you thinking coming here? Have you any idea how dangerous it is?
Ever since her father was sentenced to Azkaban for protecting her from muggles who saw her performing underage magic, Dumbledore's younger sister lived a tragic life. She hated her magic so much that she did her best to repress it, only to have an outburst and accidentally kill her mother, though she was left under Albus's care, as seen by Albus's desire to run away with his new boyfriend, Grindelwald. It was also Dumbledore's plan to run off that caused a fight to break out between the boys. When Ariana tried to stop them, a stray curse hit her, and she died. As the brothers mourned their sister's death, Grindelwald fled the scene, officially putting him on the wrong side of the law, and with Aberforth blaming Albus for Ariana's death, the brothers' relationship was broken beyond repair.
In all the time you knew him, did he ever mention my name?
While Dumbledore and Grindelwald were going through the most dramatic breakup ever, there was another couple that was falling apart. That is, if you ever really thought that what Merope and Tom Riddle had was a relationship. After using a love potion on Tom Riddle, Merope was abandoned by her family, and was left with only her hollow marriage, which fell apart soon after she found out that she was pregnant and stopped giving Tom the love potion. As soon as he was free of the magic that had controlled him, Tom returned home to his family. With nobody to turn to when Merope went into labor on the 31st of December, 1926, she made her way to Wool's orphanage. Though her son was healthy, Merope only had enough energy to give the baby the name Tom Marvolo Riddle before passing away, not knowing just who her son would become.
I think I'm different.
Well, perhaps they're right.
In 1943, Grindelwald was creating havoc throughout the wizarding world except for one place that was safe from him, Hogwarts. Of course, that didn't make Hogwarts safe, not when there was a young Voldemort running around.
Voldemort.
Should I have not said his name? Anyway, with his charm, Tom Riddle managed to make a group of followers who he dubbed the Death Eaters. This group did anything they could to impress the man and started to call him Lord Voldemort, which for some reason didn't raise any flags to any professor except for Dumbledore. And it was because of his charm that Voldemort was able to start making the Horcruxes. Not only did he convince Slughorn to tell him how to create a Horcrux, he also created 3 of the 7 Horcruxes that Harry, Ron, and Hermione needed to destroy. But it was the moment that Myrtle Warren made eye contact with the basilisk that Tom's soul broke for the first time, which he would later use to make the diary a Horcrux. After he discovered the Chamber of Secrets that had been cleverly hidden away once Hogwarts finally was able to install plumbing, Tom took up the title of Heir of Slytherin and started to spread panic throughout Hogwarts. It was also thanks to this moment that Hagrid became the Keeper of the Keys. To avoid getting caught for his crimes, Tom framed Hagrid and Aragog for the death of Myrtle, causing Hagrid to be expelled. Not to mention, it's what led to the creation of the Acromantula lair in the Forbidden Forest, the place where Harry and Voldemort would have their second-to-last confrontation.
The boy who lived, come to die.
After 15 years of war, Grindelwald's quest to prove wizards superior to muggles, and his hunt for the Deathly Hallows, finally came to an end. Thanks to the help of Newt and his Niffler, Dumbledore was able to destroy the blood pact that the two had made when they were still dating. Of course, it wasn't just the blood pact that Dumbledore had to get around. Not only was Albus still hesitant to fight a person that he once felt dearly about, he was also worried about hearing something that he didn't want to. While everyone seemed to agree that it was Grindelwald's fault, Albus always feared that it was his fault, that he was actually the one who fired the curse that killed Ariana. But with so much chaos, Albus finally had to take the leap and confront Grindelwald. At the end of the battle, Grindelwald was imprisoned in Nurmengard Castle, and Albus Dumbledore walked away as the master of the Elder Wand. And then we get to the period of time that each Potterhead wants to see. The adventures of Moony, Wormtail, Padfoot, and Prawns. After the four boys met on the train, they became quick friends. So quick that it rivals how fast Snape and James became rivals. Over the next 7 years, the Marauders started a chain of events that led to Harry's title as the Chosen One. The kids found out that Remus was a werewolf. The three boys illegally became animagus. The Marauders map was created and confiscated.
Everyone, where they are, what they're doing, every minute of every day.
And Sirius almost got Snape killed. Of course, what was arguably the most important event during the Marauders era was something that didn't involve the four boys at all. Instead, it would be the moment that Snape lost his composure and called Lily a mudblood.
No one asked your opinion, you filthy little mudblood.
The single word was enough to destroy the pair's friendship and send them down two different paths. Finally, James learned to chill out, and Lily agreed to go out with him. While the two went and joined the Order of the Phoenix, their relationship blossomed, and Harry's parents were married soon after they graduated. And finally, we have the prophecy. In 1980, Sybill Trelawney met Albus Dumbledore at the Hogshead Inn for a job interview. While it didn't seem like Trelawney was fit for the position of divination professor at first, it became clear that she did have some mastery over the art when she gave her first prophecy. Dumbledore listened as Trelawney talked of a boy that would soon be born and be able to beat the Dark Lord. And so too did Snape. As soon as he was kicked out of the inn for eavesdropping, Snape rushed to tell Voldemort what he had overheard, only to be horrified when he realized that Lily was now in danger. Though Voldemort promised to try and spare Lily, Snape decided to go and tell Dumbledore what Voldemort was planning. With the Order's new secret agent, they went about setting up a safe house for the Potters. Though they told everyone their secret keeper was Sirius, they asked Peter to keep up the mantle, a decision that would lead to their death.
You sold James and Lily to Voldemort, didn't you? I didn't mean to.
And with that, we come to Chapter 1 of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. If we were to tell the rest of the story, well, that would probably take about 7 books or 8 movies. Of course, there's also more to the history of the wizarding world that we didn't get into, like why Remus was bitten, or how exactly Grindelwald rose to power.